everyone. Thank you so much for tuning back to Girl Talk with Kaelin for season 2. I'm your host. Thank you. I'm your host, Kaelin, and I'm just so grateful to be here in front of you today. We have so much in store for season 2. So today's topic is traveling on a budget. And so we have a special guest here, Klaudia. And Klaudia, I actually just met her a couple weeks ago, and her spirit was just amazing. So we had to connect, and I just admire you on Instagram and just been following you ever since.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. So can you just tell everyone about yourself and, you know, the things that you've been up to lately?
Absolutely. So my name is Klaudia, also known as the Travel Critic on Instagram primarily. I decided to take a big leap of faith and quit my corporate job, and I've been solo traveling for the last 2.5 months.
Wow.
And now I'm back here, but I've experienced a lot on my journey, and it's been absolutely incredible.
That's incredible. That's awesome. And so what were you doing in corporate? So tell me about that.
Yes. So prior to my travels, I was working a traditional corporate job. I was human resources professional.
I cannot see you.
I know.
I cannot see you in human resources.
That's what everyone says. And they were like, I don't see you firing people. But that was my job. And so I was balancing a full-time corporate job and then trying to live my passion and working on the blog and the travel blogging and content creation while I was working full-time. So it was a lot. It was like 2 full-time jobs.
How do you do that?
Prioritize, honestly, prioritize, and then finding one day to truly dedicate to my content creation, to blogging, which was usually a weekend, and then going to different events during the week.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So when did you start your blog?
It was about 4 years ago now. I started first on Instagram because I wanted a creative release because I wasn't getting that out of my 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
So that was the whole purpose of starting it. And then from there, it just kind of blossomed more into the blogging because I really like to write. And so, you know, writing about traveling and everything like that really aligned with who I am. And so that's kind of how I got into the blogging aspect.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So what are some things that we can find on your blog? Like some just random things.
Yeah, so I really try to focus on best places to eat, stay, and play. So it's like the restaurants, hotels, different unique experiences in the city, and really showing a local perspective from the city that I'm at. So not going to all the really touristy places, but kind of the hidden gems.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so where are you from? Are you from this area in Detroit?
So I grew up in Sterling Heights, but I was born in Vienna. My family's from Poland.
Wow.
So I have most of my family still overseas.
Really?
Yeah.
And do you visit them a lot?
I do.
That's awesome. That's super cool. And so how has your career helped you prepare for your full-time entrepreneurship?
Yes. So I definitely took away a lot from my full-time job, which included, you know, being disciplined and creating a schedule. Because when you're kind of out on your own, you have to really be disciplined. So it really taught me, my full-time job really taught me how to prioritize, how to be disciplined and organized, because that's key when you're going to so many places and trying to blog and meet people.
Yeah, and I know I had that struggle being so young in college trying to start my blog. I was like, I don't like writing. I can't like just, you know, just that discipline. It's so needed. And I think especially like being in a corporate, it definitely helps you in your entrepreneurship, right?
Absolutely.
It does. It definitely helps that aspect of it. That's super cool. And so what made you start traveling solo? Because I've seen your, you know, your blogs and stuff like that, and you tend to travel alone.
I do.
Which is scary for me. Right. Because I don't want to go anywhere by myself. So how is that?
Yeah, so the purpose for my solo traveling was honestly a self-love and self-development journey. And I felt like I needed that alone time, and I need to kind of find myself in the process of, you know, traveling and the journey that was ahead of me. And I really wanted to jump into the unknown, which was something I was really, really scared of. But I really did just put my trust into God and knowing that He would take me down the right path of what I'm supposed to do in life. And so, yeah, I knew I had to, it was a journey I had to do on my own.
Right. And so what made you so brave enough to go like out of the country overseas to like just by yourself though?
Yeah. So it was baby steps. I first started in London and I had family there. So I stayed with them. And then I gradually started to go to different cities by myself. And then when I was comfortable enough, I just went to Southeast Asia by myself and experienced that. That was an incredible experience.
Oh my gosh. And so being by yourself traveling, does that get lonely?
It does.
Okay.
It does.
Okay.
It really does. But the one thing I found,
though, right?
yeah, you meet people.
Yeah.
So I stayed in a lot of hostels because I saved a lot of money that way. But also I met a lot of like-minded individuals. So I met a lot of solo female travelers, and we ended up connecting, and then we ended up traveling places together.
That's super
so
cool.
I never truly felt alone.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And so is it, well, do you think it's safe traveling alone? I know your parents are like,
oh yeah,
what are you doing?
My parents were definitely scared.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like anywhere else you're going, you have to be cautious.
Yeah.
Whether you're Detroit, your backyard, you know, you just have to really be cautious around your surroundings. So I always made sure that, you know, I was careful not to walk at night by myself and not put myself in those situations.
Yeah.
But I truly never felt unsafe. I always had people around me, and I always went with my gut. So if something didn't feel right, I made sure to leave.
Yeah. And then being a female, like being a woman, traveling by yourself, you know, I watched Criminal Minds.
Yeah, I stay away from that. I don't even watch it.
I watch a lot of things like that.
It scares me.
You know, it just like, you know. And so what do you think overall, what do you think your purpose is for traveling?
Yeah. So for me, I truly think it is meeting people from different parts of the world and realizing just how much we have alike.
That's awesome.
Doesn't matter where you're from. At the end of the day, everyone wants to be accepted.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be connected, and they want to be happy and provide for their families. And so for me, being able to go to different parts of the world and feel that with strangers really opens up my eyes, and it really makes me feel like I'm a citizen of the world, and it really connects me to different parts of the world.
Yeah, and it connects you with a lot of cultures as well,
Exactly.
too.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so what's been like your favorite place?
My favorite place has been Bali.
Okay.
For many, many reasons, but it was the most spiritual place I'd ever experienced.
Tell me why.
Yeah, one thing that they do is daily offerings.
Okay.
So they have this beautiful little basket that they create every single day out of bamboo, and they put flowers in there and different offerings to God, basically to say thank you for this day.
Awesome.
And they do it every single day.
Really?
So for me, I mean, that's something I want to incorporate into my life, is starting my day with a daily offering to God to thank, you know, Him for providing me with another day.
That's incredible. I think I actually like that a lot.
Yeah.
I really do. That's
so it's little
awesome.
things like that you pick up from cultures that I really think you can incorporate into your life.
Awesome. And so what are some just traveling tips that you can tell our audience to help them for this holiday season?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my number one tip is really travel light.
Okay.
The first time I was traveling, I had a big suitcase and I had so many outfits. I didn't end up wearing half of the outfits.
That's me all the time, everywhere I go.
Yeah, absolutely. So honestly, packing light, because you'll also want to buy things as well.
Yeah, that's
and you
true.
need some room in your suitcase.
Yeah.
But also don't get caught up in buying souvenirs for everyone. Because people think, well, I'm going to this, you know, exotic place. I have to buy for my friends and my family, and you get stressed out. That was me. I started getting stressed out about finding the perfect gift.
Right.
And then I realized, you know, it's just sharing my experiences with my family. And if I do want to buy something, I recommend buying like a bracelet or a ring or something that you can wear that you don't have to, you don't have to dedicate a lot of room in your suitcase for. So just small little things. Yeah. And then also one other tip, you know, this is something that I really started on this journey, is journaling. So journal every single day on your travels, because there's little parts of the day that you might forget about that were special to you. And so looking back on, you know, those memories and kind of, you know, who you met on your journey, I think is so important.
That's awesome.
Having that as like a reflection piece, I think is really important while you're traveling.
That's super cool. I love that. I love journaling. Just expressing myself and
absolutely.
Since I don't tend to like talk too much to certain people or just tend to share my feelings often, I love journaling because it definitely helps me reflect and see how, you know, how I've been, my mental state is.
Absolutely.
But could you share with us as far as like hotel stays and like things like that for people who are traveling? You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you're trying to save money, I always say hostels or Airbnb, just because it is a lot cheaper
than hotels.
So for instance, when I was in Asia, I was at an Airbnb. I think I paid like $17 a day, and I had an in-ground pool.
What?
Yeah, I had an in-ground pool. I had my own outdoor shower. You're
gonna have to take me with you.
Yes.
Please take me with you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So you have to be kind of strategic about where you go. And then when you go there, try and find like the cheaper accommodations like Airbnb and hostels and whatnot, just because you're out exploring the day anyways. So why stay in a hotel and spend a lot of money? you're not really getting your money's worth.
That's true.
And so for hostels, I recommend solo travelers.
Okay.
And then for Airbnb, if you're traveling with a group, families, things like that, it's a lot more cost effective at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. And so how do you get to travel so much? I know you just started, a couple months ago, but you've been to some incredible places.
Yes.
How have you done that?
Yeah, so what I did is I saved a lot of points on my credit card. And it's something that I've been saving for a really long time because I told myself, okay, I will buy the most, the flight's the most expensive part.
Right.
So if I could use all my points towards that.
Okay.
And then once I'm there, the flights in between countries are really cheap.
Okay.
So you don't have to really worry about spending a lot of money on flights. And then you can also take trains. So the first thing I tell people is, honestly, if you can figure out a way to pay for your flight to get there with points, and then you're good. And then you can just kind of budget. You don't have to go to super expensive restaurants.
Right.
I always go to like the street markets and I try food from the vendors because it's very cheap and it's usually really good quality. And you're supporting the local. Yeah,
that's awesome. Cool. And so how did you become a professional blogger? I know you started, writing and things like that on, Instagram, but how did you actually quit your job, your full-time job? I know you're making bank from our previous conversations, how did you just turn that, how did you just, leave that behind and just start really pursuing traveling?
Absolutely. So it's something that I am truly passionate about, and I just kind of looked at it as, you really do have one life and you have to use your gifts and talents. And for some reason, I just feel so connected when I'm traveling and I feel very alive. So I knew that I had to pursue it at least for a little bit of time and see how that experience is. So, I just decided that I can always go back to a corporate job, but for right now, this was kind of my calling. And so I started reaching out to different brands as well, kind of sharing my story. And you almost have to pitch yourself in a sense.
Okay.
And then they'll want to work with you a lot of times. Okay. So I go to different hotels and resorts. I'll create content for them. So that means just taking photographs, professional photographs, and sending them the photos. And then they allow me to stay there for 3 nights for free. Or
really?
Yeah. So that's really helped.
You have a lot of flowers
yes.
though.
But you have to first start with creating your brand.
Gotcha.
You have to have a niche. So whether you're a solo traveler, whether you're a couples adventure, finding your niche and then creating your brand from that, and then starting to reach out to different brands that can sponsor you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And I earlier you mentioned regarding talents and gifts. So what do you think yours are?
So I really do think I have a natural gift of connecting with people and kind of being a connector and relating to others. And I think, and being creative, that's another one of my talents, I think. It's something I did as a little child, and then I forgot about it as I was, growing up, going to college, going, to a professional job. And so being able to utilize my talents on the creative side when I'm working with brands kind of makes me feel like I'm more myself at that point.
That's incredible. That's awesome. That's awesome. And so, I'm sorry, what do you know about traveling cheaper now that you would have known earlier?
Yes. So if you're trying to travel internationally, I would say check to fly out of places like Toronto, because I've found flights for $700 round trip to Europe. And out of Detroit, it's like $1,500. So you're saving a really good amount. You have to drive, obviously the extra few hours, but you can really save a lot of money that way. And so now when I do fly international, and let's say I don't have any points or whatever, I look at, places like Toronto, Chicago to see how much cheaper it is.
See, which ones are cheaper.
Exactly.
That's super cool. And so what do you do to stay healthy when you travel? Because I know that jet lag, and, your body is, getting used to different climates and things like that. So what do you keep yourself healthy? How do you keep yourself healthy?
Yeah, so as much as traveling is exciting and fun, you still have to have self-care.
That's true.
Because if there's a time change or just a culture shock or you're not used to the food, you really have to be patient with yourself. So if you need some downtime for the first day or two just to kind of assimilate into the culture, I highly recommend doing that. I was in Asia and it took me a good week to get used to the 12-hour time difference.
I bet.
Because it was completely opposite.
And then and communicating with your family and stuff,
yeah,
right?
Exactly, which is so important. So having that downtime initially, I think, is important. And then also looking at different, if there's gyms around or if there's a class that you could take. So that's what I started doing, is reaching out, to different gyms or boutique fitness centers and asking them, hey, can I pop in and take one class and experience your class and maybe put it on my Instagram or whatever they want to do. So you're also saving money and then you're working out.
I love it.
And I've really gotten into yoga as well. So kind of moving your body in that way. If you just have a mat or even outside, and that allows you to calm your mind as well. So finding different ways that work for you while you're traveling is important. And then also, it's hard not to eat the bad food when you're traveling because you want to experience everything. But eating in moderation obviously. And maybe having one cheat day or two, and then trying to eat healthy. But you're walking a lot. You're walking a lot when you're traveling, so I feel like that's how I justify eating.
That's funny. That's awesome. And so do you have any last tips for us, for the audience regarding traveling, what they could do to save money for this holiday season at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if you have an inkling to do it, I suggest doing it because there's kind of a calling and you never know who you're going to meet or what's going to come across your journey. If you're looking to save money, definitely, I mean, it's a lot more expensive during the holidays, but if you just go on Google Flights and you look at the month view to see where are the cheapest days, the cheapest flights on what days, and if you can just be a little bit flexible with the timing, not have maybe certain days, but maybe plus 2 or 3 days, you might find a lot cheaper flights that way.
That's awesome.
And then obviously looking at different airports nearby.
Right. That's awesome. And so where can our audience find you on social media?
So on social media, I'm primarily on Instagram, which is at the Travel Critic. And then in my bio, you'll see the link to my actual blog. So I blog a lot about lifestyle as well and what it means to travel as a solo female traveler.
Well, thank you so much for coming and joining me. Claudia, you're amazing.
You're amazing.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Girl Talk with Kaelin. I cannot wait to see you next week. Please, please, please follow us on Girl Talk with Kay on social media. And also, please comment below and share. Thank you. See ya.